1% do not chase the world. They command their world. They are not driven by fear. They are led by frequency. They do not ask to be chosen. They walk as if they already are. These are not the many. These are not the loud. These are not the desperate. They do not move with noise. They move with knowing. These are the 1%, the soul one, the rare, the remembered. They do not perform for power. They embody it in silence. They don't wait to be validated. They validate themselves with every breath. Where others react, they respond. Where others shrink, they expand. Where others seek answers, they become the answer. This is not ego. This is essence. This is the identity of those who have burned every script written in fear and rewritten their destiny with divine fire. This is how the 1% think. This is how they move. This is how they become. Declare it with your spirit. I no longer chase. I align. I no longer beg. I become. I no longer fear. I know. I now think as the rare do, as the soul-born do, as the 1% do. The truly rare souls who move through life with grace, certainty, and magnetism have not only mastered the game of strategy, they've mastered the game of belief. They've built a mental cathedral so aligned with divine law that reality must bow in response. Florence Scovel Shinn said, "Man can only receive what he sees himself receiving." The 1% see beyond what is and into what is becoming. They think not with their eyes but with inner knowing. They don't pray to be saved. They declare alignment. They do not chase, they prepare. What sets them apart is not only mindset, it's spiritual mechanics. They operate through the invisible controls of reality, accessed through awareness, not effort. There is a blueprint, a divine design of consciousness that governs everything you touch. Most never see it. They stay busy reacting to the outer, wrestling with shadows, trying to change the screen while ignoring the projector. The 1% goes straight to the source. They know outer wealth echoes inner agreement. They have agreed deeply and unshakably to be worthy, to be guided, to be chosen, and so they are. The illusion is thinking they have something we don't. More talent, more luck, more connections. Spiritually, they've simply used laws others ignore. They speak words that build, not scatter. They make mental decrees in silence, that the universe must obey. They've replaced I hope with it is done. Doubt becomes divine design. Hustle becomes holy readiness. They stop reacting and begin architect. Ask yourself, with courage and clarity, what blueprint am I following? Whose voice fills my thoughts? Whose vision am I building? The world offers templates of fear and delay. Spirit gives you a blank scroll, a sacred pen, and a whisper. Write something new. The true blueprint of the 1% is not about having more. It's about becoming more aligned, more available to divine guidance, more loyal to inner reality than outer results. This is the law of assumption, wrapped in grace. Faith turned into structure, and it begins with awareness. Close your eyes now, and declare, with the full force of your soul, I no longer build from fear, I build from spirit. I am not becoming, I already am. When your mind accepts this truth, reality rearranges around it. Once you glimpse this blueprint, you cannot unsee it. Not because it was hidden, but because you were ready. There is a spiritual pattern behind every result. The 1% are not obsessed with outcomes. They align with source, not by luck, but by sacred law, the law of spiritual causation. Nothing appears until it is first imagined. Nothing moves until it is believed. Nothing manifests until it is spoken into the invisible. The world teaches more effort, more speed, more noise. Spirit reminds you, the cause is within. The world is the reflection. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that all conditions begin in the unseen. This isn't theory. It's spiritual technology. The same law that governs stars and seasons governs your finances, peace, and purpose. What you feel, affirm, and visualize in stillness becomes substance. The 1% believe before they see. They plant in silence and reap in sudden favor. They rehearse success in the subconscious, and the world obeys. The inner world is the blueprint. The outer is just construction. Nothing is random. There are no accidents in divine law. The soul that receives is the soul that agrees inwardly first, not on paper, but in energy. Many feel stuck because they act without belief. They affirm while doubting. They chase without choosing. Metaphysics clears this. Your inner word becomes your outer world. Life can only deliver what you have already agreed to spiritually. want change, go inward before going forward. Before your income grows, before love arrives, before doors open, you must declare, I already am the one who receives. It is mine by divine right. What I hold in consciousness must meet me in time. This is not fantasy. It is alignment with divine order. Manifestation is never forced. It is allowed. And if you feel delay, know this. Delay is not denial in divine timing. Sometimes spirit holds back not because you are unworthy, but because you are still anchoring the cause. You do not need to fix the outer. You need to finalize the inner agreement. This is where the 1% rise. Not from privilege, but from precision. They do not beg life to change. They build the vibration that commands it. They don't panic in silence. They plant. They praise. They prepare. And then what looked impossible appears as if it always belonged. Let this be your compass. You are not late. You are learning how to cause before you chase. Close your eyes and declare, I am the cause of every good thing I now receive. I believe it before I see it. I build in spirit and I harvest in form. You are not an observer. You are the origin. You are not the bystander. You are the blueprint. The shift begins in sacred stillness. You've spoken affirmations. I am abundant. I am prosperous. I receive all that is mine by divine right. But something inside still questions. Something clenches, something fears. Be honest now. Have you declared abundance while panicking about rent? Envisioned success while feeling unworthy? Prayed for peace while wrestling guilt and shame? This is not failure. It is spiritual contradiction. And that contradiction, not the economy, not your background, is what keeps most minds in bondage. Not due to lack of effort, but division within. Florence Scovel Shinn said fear is inverted faith. It is belief turned toward the wrong result. You do not lack faith. You've simply placed it in what you do not want. Faith in failure, faith in lack, faith in struggle. This is poverty of the soul. And it begins not in the wallet, but in the inner dialogue. You cannot speak abundance with your lips and carry scarcity in your nervous system. You cannot visualize expansion while expecting rejection. You cannot become the receiver while identifying as the one who never has enough. This is the invisible conflict that spiritual law cannot override, because the universe mirrors the vibration, not the vocabulary. So, why do most stay stuck? Because the pain of the known feels safer than the uncertainty of expansion. Because the subconscious carries old contracts. I must struggle to be worthy. If I rise, I'll be alone. Too much abundance will make me a target. Money is selfish. Peace is for others. I am not enough. These aren't just thoughts. They're soul programs looping in silence, sabotaging what the heart longs to receive. And the 1%, they know that success is not just about skill. It's about clearing contradiction. They don't force belief. They forgive resistance. They become spiritually available to abundance by healing the blocks that silently say no. They are not perfect, but they are aligned. So let's ask what really matters. What do you believe about receiving? Do you feel guilt when you desire more? Are you afraid of outgrowing people? Is there a part of you that feels safer in struggle because it's familiar? This is not shame. This is revelation. Awareness is the first grace of spiritual freedom. Now, a sacred tool to begin the untangling. Affirm and pause. Not to chant blindly, but to listen to the resistance that rises. Say, it is safe for me to receive more than I ever imagined. My wealth is holy, my desire is divine, and my abundance harms no one. I release the old stories that no longer serve my soul's expansion. Feel what comes up. That tension, that discomfort, that inner pushback, that is not weakness. That is your next layer of liberation. The law of substitution tells us, you cannot hold two opposing thoughts. So choose the one that lifts. When fear arises, replace it. Don't wrestle it. When doubt surfaces, speak divine truth aloud. When shame speaks, answer with grace. This is the inner work. This is the wealth before the wealth. And as you heal this inner division, your vibration clears, your prayers gain velocity, your spirit aligns. This is where the 1% begin. Not with goals, but with agreement between soul and speech. Before the world stirs, before inboxes chime and demands rise like smoke from the waking cities, there is a silence, and in that sacred hush, the 1% do something most never see. They step into their inner temple, not a room, not a ritual for show, but a sanctuary of soul built from stillness, intention, and sovereign thought. They rise not to react, but to remember who they are and what they are not, to realign their being before the world asks them to bend. Their feet touch the floor like a priestess at the threshold, their breath deepens like a monk before the altar, and with closed eyes, they speak into the invisible, not begging, not doubting, but declaring from divine certainty, I do not follow time. I move in divine order. All that is mine flows to me by magnetic decree. I command this day from the throne of inner knowing. They do not pray from panic. They speak from alignment. They do not chase outcomes. They plant frequency. That this is the true wealth. The ability to go within and touch heaven before they ever check a number, before they touch a task. They sit in stillness, not to escape the world, but to shape it. Florence Scovel Shinn said, man's word is his wand, filled with power. He must stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. And this is what they do. They sit upon the throne of the subconscious and issue the decree, no panic, no performing, just knowing. They visualize not with desperation, but with reverence. They don't beg the future to come. They welcome it like an honored guest. They see it, feel it, anchor it in silence, not for show, but because they understand the law. All things first move through spirit, then form. While others awaken to chaos, they awaken to command. While others check their phones, they check their alignment. While others brace for the day, they build it inward first. This is the secret not written in financial journals. This is the chapter hidden behind every success story. The chapter no algorithm can decode. The inner temple. There, they forgive yesterday. There, they transmute fear into faith. There, they summon their vision, not in fantasy, but in frequency. They are sculptors of silence, weaving words into worlds. They rehearse peace. They embody victory. They become what they desire, long before it arrives. Want to think like the 1%. Don't just shift your schedule. Sanctify your silence. Create a temple within you where you meet with the divine before you meet the world. Here's how to begin. Upon waking whisper, I step into this day with clarity, courage, and divine inheritance. The universe rushes to rearrange itself in service to my alignment. Sit in stillness, not to escape, but to receive. Close your eyes and feel yourself already living the answered prayer. Let the feeling shape your nervous system, not your circumstances. This is not performance. This is preparation in the invisible. Because those who shape the inner realm never bow to outer storms. They do not beg for life to change. They build the blueprint in spirit and let reality follow in reverence. So tomorrow morning, before the noise, before the headlines, before the world presses its agenda upon your chest, enter your temple, because when you honor the inner world first, the outer begins to move in ways you no longer need to force, and from here, we journey forward. Next, we'll unravel the true currency of the 1%. Not time, not money, but energy itself. Everything is energy. But not just any energy, vibrationally encoded intention. Your thoughts, they're not random visitors. They are broadcast towers, sending out signals, summoning experiences to match. And those who live in wealth, true wealth, do not think in form. They think in frequency. They do not ask, how do I get more? They ask, what frequency must I become? Because the wise know, every result is an echo. Every delay is a mirror. Every breakthrough begins in thought. Florence Scovel Shinn said, words are wires to the divine. They carry man's message to God and bring back his reply. So what message are you sending? Not just with your lips, but with your inner dialogue. With the hum beneath your smile. With the silent tone behind every yes, every no. Here is the law. Thought is cause. Experience is effect. And the more elevated the thought, the more accelerated the manifestation. Wealth does not start in a wallet. It begins in a vibrational field, a tuning of the soul to the frequency of having, not the noise of lack. The 1% are not just wealthy in money. They are wealthy in mind space. They protect their thought field like sacred ground. They do not entertain frequencies of fear or rehearse scarcity in private. They curate their internal station like a conductor tuning a divine orchestra. They ask themselves daily, what am I broadcasting today? Is this thought in harmony with what I want, or what I fear? This is not positive thinking. This is vibrational stewardship. Let's try it now. Scan your inner station. Are you tuned to "I hope it happens," or "it is done" in the unseen? Are you thinking, "Who am I to ask for this?" Or "I am the vessel through which the divine expresses abundance"? Shift the dial, move the signal. Even the subtlest shift in thought can open the floodgates of provision. Use this divine affirmation each time fear creeps in. I am aligned with the highest frequency of truth. All things are drawn to me in divine rhythm, not human rush. Close your eyes. Feel it as if it were already yours. Not begging, not reaching, just broadcasting belief. Visualization becomes magnetic only when it's paired with frequency. When you feel the thought instead of just thinking it, that's when heaven takes notes. That's when the universe begins rearranging. You don't need to know how, you only need to know what, and then tune into it until it knows you. So ask yourself today, what signal am I emitting into the field? Do my thoughts speak lack or legacy? Am I resonating with fear or fulfillment? Because the universe doesn't hear what you want, it hears what you are. And when you become a match for the frequency of wealth, it has no choice but to arrive, not by force, but by vibrational law. So let's move forward. Now that you've tuned your inner radio, what happens when you stop chasing time and begin mastering the energy behind it? There comes a quiet moment in every seeker's path. Not loud, not dramatic, but divinely pivotal. It is the moment the soul stops reacting to life and begins commanding it. You feel it like a hush before the orchestra plays. A breath between chaos and clarity. You've lived long enough obeying the fears, tending the fires of what if, bowing to the moods of the world. You've flinched at the news, shrunk in the shadow of delay, and hoped the winds would shift in your favor. But this is your sacred pivot. The turning of the tide within. Florence Scovel Shinn called it the law of substitution, the holy art of replacing one thought with another, of disarming the negative, not with battle, but with brilliance. She said, fear is faith turned upside down. So we flip it back. Worry becomes vision. Panic becomes prayer. Doubt becomes a doorway to declaration. Instead of whispering, I hope this works, you now declare, this or something better is already mine. Divine timing arranges all things. Instead of asking, what if I fail? You rise and affirm, all things work together for my good. Even delays are sacred choreography. Instead of bracing for rejection, you open your palms and say, what belongs to me arrives with ease. What is not mine fades without force. This is not blind optimism. This is inner authorship, a spiritual recalibration from emotional reaction to energetic command. Let me show you how it works. Let's say a door closes. The reactive mind cries, it's gone, it's over, I'm blocked. But the soul-aligned mind says, this is redirection, not rejection. I walk through the gate meant for me, the one that swings open without strain. You see, the world trains you to hustle, to defend, to worry, loud. But the 1%, those who live from vision, not reaction, they train in silence. They don't react to the storm. They rise above the clouds and choose the forecast. They don't beg for evidence. They broadcast their inner truth until reality reshapes itself around their frequency. So here is your spiritual tool. Catch the low thought and bless it with replacement. Worry knocks. Replace it with, all is unfolding in divine order. Envy stirs. Sub in, what I see in others is proof of what's possible for me. Fear tightens. Reframe with, the universe supports me in ways seen and unseen. This is the inner alchemy of the awakened. This is how you pivot. Not by force, but by frequency. Speak this softly now, or let it echo inside. I no longer serve the gods of reaction. I am a visionary of light. My thoughts are ladders, not cages. My words, wires, to the divine. I do not chase. I align, and as this shift settles in, you'll notice the outer world no longer feels so loud. The noise still exists, but it no longer owns your focus. You've tuned your soul to a higher station. And that frequency is fertile, where belief becomes embodiment and vision meets vibrational truth. Wealth begins in the unseen, not in banks or business plans, but in the sanctuary of the soul. The spiritually wealthy do not wait for circumstances to confirm their worth. They don't ask the outer world for permission to rise. They build from within, daily and deliberately, like sacred architects of vibration. So, how do they move? How do they think, pray, practice? Let me show you. Morning, the ceremony of vision. The moment their eyes open, they do not grab the phone, scroll the noise, or rush the clock. They anchor. They begin with stillness, a breath, a pause, as if listening to the whisper of the infinite, and then they see. They close their eyes and step into the inner chamber, where they are already chosen, already provided for, already home. They do not visualize from desperation. They embody from dominion. They walk through their day in the theater of the mind. I see doors open before me. I see divine right connections flowing with ease. I see myself acting, speaking, deciding as one who already holds the harvest. It's not imagination. It's instruction to the subconscious, and the subconscious obeys. Florence taught, man must prepare for the thing he has asked for, though he sees not one sign of it. This morning visioning is that preparation, and it begins the day with spiritual authority. Words of power, spoken with sacred precision. They do not speak carelessly. They know words are not casual, they are creative currents. Every sentence is either building a bridge to their desire, or erecting a wall against it. So they choose their declarations like an artist selects color, with reverence and intent. Here are some of their morning affirmations, not spoken in haste, but in holy rhythm. Every word I speak builds a bridge to my desire. I am divinely guided in every step I take. I do not chase, I attract by truth. What is mine moves toward me on the wings of ease. They don't speak to report reality. They speak to reveal it. Midday stillness. Reset the temple. Around midday, the spiritually wealthy pause. Not because they're overwhelmed, but because they understand that sacred pauses birth spiritual precision. They may step outside, they may place a hand over the heart, but in that moment, they return to source, a simple breath, a silent prayer. I reset my energy to divine clarity. I do not carry tension. I release it to light. I choose alignment over urgency. I walk in grace, not grind. It is this inner reset that makes their outer productivity magnetic. Florence said, intuition is a spiritual faculty and does not explain, but simply points the way. These midday stillnesses tune the soul's compass back to intuition, where true wealth begins. Evening release, letting go into divine timing when the day winds down. The spiritually wealthy do not rehearse what went wrong. They do not cling, overthink, or judge. They release, because they understand that letting go is not losing. It is trusting the divine orchestration of what has already been set in motion. Before sleep, they affirm, I let go and trust divine timing. What I've planted in faith blooms while I rest. Delay is not denial. It is divine preparation. I sleep in peace, knowing the universe works while I dream. The night becomes sacred ground, not for worry, but for watering the vision in silence. Spiritual wealth is not frantic. It is faithful. It's built on small, sacred practices, repeated not out of fear, but out of knowing. This is how the spiritually wealthy move, not chasing but creating, not reacting but revealing, not begging but commanding. And now, beloved one, it is your turn. Start with one of these rituals today. Let it be your offering, your agreement with the unseen. You're not late, you're not behind. You are becoming aligned. There comes a moment in every sacred journey when the soul grows tired of pleading, tired of begging the skies, tired of whispering please to a God it has not yet dared to partner with. This moment is not weakness. It is awakening, a holy threshold where the wounded ask turns into the knowing command. Florence Scovel Shinn wrote, you must act as if you have already received, because in truth, you are not here to chase. You are here to claim. Desperation is not devotion. It is distortion. It says, I am small. I am lacking. I need life to save me. But the spiritually sovereign, the spiritually wealthy, have learned the art of divine command, not arrogance, not force, but deep, sacred alignment with the law of assumption. They no longer pray from absence. They speak from arrival. There is a posture to true spiritual power. It's not found in clenched fists or strained voices. It's found in a quiet authority that comes from knowing, I am not separate from the source. I am a vessel of its expression. Imagine two people with the same desire. One says, I hope it works out. I just want a little breakthrough. I've been trying so hard. The other says, this is already unfolding in perfect divine timing. I walk in what is mine. I don't strive. I align. Which of them is truly magnetic? Which of them is speaking the language of creation? Begging says, please pick me. Commanding says, I have already been chosen. I now move accordingly. This is your pivot point. You are no longer a visitor in the temple of your own life. You are the architect, the co-creator, the one who names a thing and watches it rise. It's time to shift from asking life to love. You too commanding love to meet you where you already stand. Let's make this real. The next time your mind says, I hope I'm good enough, interrupt it with, I was created in divine image. I am already more than enough. When you think, I don't know how I'll make it, replace it with, my path is revealed one divine step at a time. Provision walks beside me. You are not a beggar. You are a builder of atmosphere. You don't knock endlessly at locked doors, you become the vibration that opens them. Florence said, the invisible forces are ever working for the man, who is always pulling the strings himself, though he does not know it. It's not about forcing results. It's about shifting energy from doubt to dominion. Say these words, not as hopes, but as declarations from your spiritual seat of authority. I no longer plead, I proclaim. What is mine is magnetized to me now. I do not wish. I wield the word. I walk in wealth, wisdom, and divine precision. This is not pretending. This is remembering. The truth is, you were never meant to grovel at the altar of possibility. You were meant to command the gates of destiny with a voice that remembers where it came from. So ask yourself gently, have I been trying to earn what I was born to embody? Have I been speaking to life as if I'm unworthy of its response? If so, now is your pivot. Right here, in this moment. No more shrinking. No more spiritual poverty of thought. Stand in the center of your soul and say, I no longer ask to be chosen. I am chosen. I choose myself. I partner with the divine, and therefore, I command with love. I receive with ease. I walk with certainty. And as you breathe into this energy, not aggressive but anchored, not desperate but devoted, know this, you are not trying to make it happen. You are aligning with what is already written. You're not hoping to become, you're allowing yourself to remember. Now let us walk forward into the final stretch of this sacred journey, where we break free from invisible ceilings and step into the spiritual confidence of the 1%. There is a rhythm to the universe, a quiet unfolding that speaks not in noise, but in knowing. Florence Scovel Shinn whispered this truth across time. Delays are not denials, and those who walk the sacred path of spiritual wealth, they listen for that rhythm. They do not rush it. They recognize it, even when it arrives dressed in silence. You may look around and feel as if life has forgotten you, like your prayers have drifted into the ether with no echo, no return. But let me say this gently, soul to soul, the divine clock does not tick by human hands, it ticks by alignment. The moment your desire was born, the universe began its orchestration, not in chaos, but in perfect sacred sequence. And though it may seem like nothing is moving, in the unseen realm, everything is being arranged for your highest unfolding. Delays are not punishments, they are preparations. They are the divine whispering, not yet, not this door, I'm building you a better one. They are cosmic detours that keep you from stepping into what your soul has outgrown. They are reroutes that protect your promise from the parts of you that still carry fear. The spiritually rich, those rare souls aligned with divine flow, do not confuse delay with denial. They do not force the bloom, they trust the soil. When something doesn't arrive on their timeline, they ask, what is this pause asking me to notice? What belief must I release so I don't sabotage what I've asked for? Is this a test of trust or a call to deepen my clarity? Everything that delays also delivers. The wait teaches your character what the wish could not. The silence teaches you to listen beyond sound. The pause teaches you to lead without control. And when life seems to slow down, when plans fall through, when you feel stuck in the in-between, remember this sacred truth. Sometimes, divine timing feels like nothing is happening when everything is being divinely rearranged for your good. Let's return to your soul center with this affirmation: everything unfolds in perfect spiritual order. What is mine cannot be lost. What delays is only being divinely refined. Say this not with hope, but with knowing. This is the law of non-resistance in motion. Resistance says, why isn't it here yet? Surrender says, it's arriving exactly when it should. Watch for synchronicity, not coincidence, but confirmation. The right person calling at the right moment. The book that falls into your lap. The sentence in a stranger's mouth that feels like it was meant for you. These are not random. These are notes in the divine symphony. The spiritually aware don't dismiss them. They bow to them. They say, I see you, universe. I trust the unfolding. When life reroutes you when you thought the job was yours or the relationship was forever and it slips through your fingers, don't curse the redirection. Bless it. Sometimes the door that closes is saving you from a destiny too small. This is the soul maturity of the few, not measured by dollars but by depth. They know how to wait with certainty. They don't collapse when things delay. They realign, they prepare, because they understand this. If it's not here yet, it's not because you're not worthy. It's because the stage is still being set for something worthy of you. Let this prayer rise from your spirit. I release my timeline and trust the divine calendar. I am not behind. I am not lost. I am being aligned. I listen for the whispers. I follow the signs. I walk by faith, not frustration. You are not late. You are being led. Your path is not broken. It is being beautifully rebuilt. So let us walk gently now into the next sacred revelation, where we unlock the final power, the spiritually wealthy hold above all, the art of knowing before it arrives. Wealth is not waiting in your bank account. It is already humming in your spirit. It's not a number. It's a knowing. You were never meant to chase it. You were meant to embody it. Not earned, but remembered. Invisible wealth is the presence you carry when no one is watching. It's how you stand in a storm and still know the sun is behind the clouds. It's the way your energy enters a room before your name is spoken. It's peace that doesn't ask for permission and power that doesn't perform. This is the wealth of the spiritually awakened. It's what the world can't measure but the soul recognizes instantly. Florence Scovel wrote, "Man must live in the kingdom of accomplishment before he can accomplish." That means you become the thing before it arrives. You wear the vibration before the evidence shows up. You walk through your day not hoping, but anchored. So let me ask you, how would you speak if you believed you were already chosen? How would you walk if you knew the universe had already signed your name in gold? How would you breathe if nothing could be taken from you, only delivered in divine order? This is the spiritual wealth the rare ones live from. Not ego, but embodiment. Not striving, but saturation. They don't seek confirmation from the outer world. They transmit frequency from the inner one. To embody wealth is to align with the law of assumption, to declare, in silence and in sound, I am abundance, I am provision, I am the answered prayer. Not to trick the mind, but to train it, because your subconscious is always listening, and the words you speak in quiet shape the world you wake up to. Let's practice divine embodiment now. Stand taller, not from pride but from remembrance of who you are. Speak slower, not from uncertainty but because your words carry electricity. Breathe deeper because pressure can't live where presence has taken root. This is invisible wealth. It's not in your clothes, it's in your atmosphere. It's not in your portfolio, it's in your posture. Say this aloud with reverence. True wealth lives in me now. I am prosperous in my presence, peaceful in my power, and rich in my recognition of the divine within. That's not a mantra, that's a decree. A declaration that changes the air around you and realigns your inner world with heaven's design. Wealth is the certainty that you are guided, provided for, and never outside the plan. If today is quiet, it's because something sacred is being whispered behind the veil. Say with clarity, I am already whole, and everything else is a reflection of that truth unfolding. So when the world tells you to hustle harder, you move with calm conviction. When others demand results, you rest in revelation. When doubts rise, you answer with poise. I do not chase wealth, I carry it. I do not beg for value, I broadcast it. I do not prove myself, I possess myself. This is what the truly rich understand. Wealth is not speed, it's stability. It's not visibility, it's vibration. Let this truth anchor deep. You don't need more proof, you need deeper presence. Presence is the new prosperity. A stillness that speaks louder than performance. A grace that governs your actions and guards your energy. Close your eyes, breathe into your center. Now declare, I walk in divine dignity. I speak with sacred certainty. I live as one who has already received. I am the living vibration of spiritual wealth, and it goes before me now. This is not performance. This is alignment. This is not pretending. This is remembering. You are not becoming wealthy. You are returning to the truth that you already are. As we move toward our final revelation, we step not as seekers, but as those who already know. The universe responds to those who embody its truth. We now stand at the edge of the unseen, not a finish line, but a threshold. Behind you, the illusions you no longer serve. Before you, the identity you were always meant to embody. This is not inspiration. This is initiation. You are not here to be reminded. You are here to be reclaimed. You've walked through inner chambers of truth. You've heard the voice of wisdom echo through your soul. You've begun to release lack, fear, unworthiness. And now, you rise. The spiritually wealthy don't chase. They don't strive or stretch to become. They stand. In knowing. In identity. In vibration. Florence Scovel Shinn said, "You must act as if you had already received. But before acting comes knowing. Before knowing comes declaring. For what you declare with conviction you become." Words are bridges, not sounds, but soul assignments. Every syllable you speak from alignment becomes architecture. When you declare in fear, you build prisons. When you declare in faith, you build portals. When you declare in truth, the entire divine orchestra harmonizes with your melody. So today, we build the structure of your next becoming. This is not performance. This is ceremony. A declaration is not a plea, it is placement. The law of assumption says, you don't wait for evidence. You become the evidence. So I ask you gently, have you begged long enough? Have you worried long enough? Have you doubted your worth long enough? Let this be the moment you drop the mask of desperation and wear the robe of remembrance. The robe doesn't arrive when the bank is full or people see your value. It arrives when you choose it. Now, we stand before the final mirror. Not the one on your wall, the one in your soul. The one that reveals what you truly believe you are. The same mirror the rare ones have looked into. The spiritually sovereign. Those who think in vibration. Who walk in silent confidence. Who move as if it's already done. So, we turn inward, in stillness, in reverence. This isn't motivational hype. It's spiritual command. The wealthy aren't louder. They're clearer. They don't speak to persuade life. They speak to align with it. They don't hope the door opens. They know it's theirs. Inhale assurance. Exhale the weight of proving. And now, from your spirit, repeat. I no longer chase. I align. I no longer beg. I become. I no longer fear. I know. I now think as the rare do. As the soul-born do. As the 1%, DOAGAIN, louder, truer. I no longer chase. I align. I no longer beg. I become. I no longer fear. I know. I now think as the rare do. As the soul-born do. As the 1% do. One more time. From the root of who you are. I no longer chase. I align. I no longer beg. I become. I no longer fear. I know. I now think as the rare do. As the soul-born do. As the 1% do. Pause. Feel that. That's alignment. That's law. That's vibration reorganizing. You've just shifted timelines with your voice. You've made a sacred announcement to life. From now on, walk like someone who knows they can't be robbed. Speak like someone who carries invisible royalty. Breathe like one whose prayers are already fulfilled. You are no longer the version that waits for signs. You are the sign. You do not perform. You radiate presence. Say it. I am the embodiment of divine timing. What I carry is sacred, and it is felt even in silence. I am not waiting to be ready. I am chosen, and that is enough. I do not wish. I witness. I do not hope. I harmonize. Let us seal this moment with a final declaration. Spirit of the highest, I surrender the old language of lack and receive the tongue of truth. May my words no longer chase what is already mine, but call it forth. I speak as one with the divine. I declare what is. I become what I speak. And so it is. Now you leave this space not inspired, but transformed. Your walk is slower, your breath deeper, your gaze unshaken. You no longer seek permission. You carry authority. You are no longer the seeker. You are the signal. You are no longer the echo. You are the original sound. The world will notice, not by your volume but by your silence. A silence that says, I know who I am. And the mirror, it no longer reflects fear. It reflects your becoming. Because you declared it. Because you aligned. Because now, you remember.